Hello everybody, this is Alex from Parkcoin Guys, bringing my guide for Uncharted Drake's Fortune on Crushing Difficulty. Today we're doing Chapter 13 entitled Sanctuary. So, funny enough, the title of the chapter basically just gives it away. But this is, honestly, probably one of the more difficult chapters, especially at the halfway point of the game, which is crazy to think that it would take a considerable amount of time between, like, the early game. Because, like, early game was kind of hard. There was a few spots that were difficult. And then it took this long for the game to start to kind of ramp up again. Although I would argue, like, what was it, Chapter 11, I think, also technically did. But this is one of the ones where I would consider this is where it actually does get somewhat difficult. And then, because it's Uncharted, I mean, not everything stays difficult all the time. There's always going to be those, breather moments and stuff that you will have, which is nice. But the reason why this one is so difficult is because Navarro's men have, like, just armored up and stuff. Because I think Eddie's is the pirate one, and then Navarro, I think, is the guy that has, like, all the armed forces. So you got to deal with a lot more difficult enemies to take down. Even though they kind of do die about the same. Sometimes it feels like they don't, but they do have stronger weapons too, which does kind of suck. And speaking of them right now, this is going to be our introduction to them. And once you come up these stairs, there's going to be that little prompt that shows up that basically tells you, by the way, the Desert Eagle guy has just appeared. And these are not snipers, necessarily, but they are... they have a laser sight, so that's how you can basically tell where they're at. And they're actually the most easy things to deal with, because even though they have strong weapons, you can just easily just avoid their line of sight for, as many times as you pretty much just want. As long as you just keep dodging, you can pretty much just get away with avoiding them outright. Then I wait for the couple of enemies to start coming down the stairs, and I take them out from, way back behind there. And that's just kind of the thing with Uncharted 1, though, to keep in mind is if you have a safety net anywhere that you came from, just use it. If you've got any sort of cover, usually from the place that you, like I said, that you just came out of, that's usually a pretty good place to kind of just hunker down and use for it, because most of the time enemies will not just show up behind you. Then I think after that is done with, you've got this little cutscene coming up in a second. Or so. Okay, yeah, here we go. So if you do die here, you'll actually skip past that walking talk section. And then just take these guys out with whatever you want to use. I just grabbed the Eagle because why not? I'm just using any weaponry that I just end up picking up. Unfortunately, I think you do have to come down here in order to get these guys to spawn. So, but once again, they're not that bad to deal with. They're just a couple of Desert Eagle guys, so they're relatively avoidable, to be fair. And they usually just go down to one to two shots with an Eagle, so nothing too bad. This part is going to be the part that's going to test your patience for sure, no doubt, because it sure as hell did mine. I tried figuring out where the spawn was for these guys, and I think it's just as soon as you walk through the doorway, I think that's when it pretty much just activates it. But I usually come to this left corner here, and that's when it usually just kind of starts to have these guys spawn in. And I'm aiming down the sights right now because I'm trying to keep an eye on this corner specifically, because there's at least a good few guys. Take out the shotgunner first. If there's ever a shotgunner that appears, 9 times out of 10, because they never go into cover. They're always just trying to shoot you down. They're always trying to blast you with some type of shotgun. So this guy, by the way, he's always up there. There's 2 guys to the right in the fountain area you got to watch out for too. But with the cover I have now, I should be fine. There's one up above and one below. And you don't really need to worry about the guy going toward Elena. I'd say, if anything, just focus on this guy up here. And an M4 is probably your best bet for long-range combat when it comes to any type of machine guns, which is good because this chapter does drop quite a few of them. And we also get a new gun, too, the 9mm, I think it was. And 9mm is really good. I like the 9mm a lot. It's the thing that Elena uses when you're on that jet ski. Another thing, you can, if you can't take out the guy above, if you got no good weapons for it or something, you want to come down here and take him out, then I'd say, because it has like 2 different viewpoints, go past that tree and then just shoot him from there instead, because he doesn't have any cover. But yeah, usually, again, if shotgunners ever appear, try to focus on them first, because of the simple fact that they always will try to barrel toward you. And they don't even really use cover most of the time either because they're too busy trying to just show up as fast as they possibly can. And then, of course, when they do fire off a shotgun, if you're behind cover and they fire off a shot, then just wait for that shot to go off and then kill them. Do be careful. There's a guy down here. Watch out for him. Try to, I don't know what you'd call it, head camp. I don't know what you'd call it. Maybe I'm just too out of loop for this. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm kind of waiting to see his head pop up. And then as soon as he pops up, I try to, get a headshot. And he's the only one that actually appears in that little tiny room. So you got pretty much nobody else to really worry about right now. And for this, it's just climbing. It's just the straightforward Uncharted climbing section. So nothing too bad. It does throw me off a little bit that you have to jump back from that one, though. Because sometimes when it comes to Uncharted 1, I'm never exactly certain where I'm allowed to jump from. I feel like sometimes it's just the game's like, no, you can't jump there, you can't jump there. But then sometimes you just can. Come down here, blow up the barrel, and let Elena walk through the door. This part was kind of weird, so I did have to cut it. Because here's what I did. Because I know that when you start opening this door, I let go immediately because that's when Elena's like, oh, okay, I'll take care of it, right? So I had to make a cut because she walked her fucking ass all the way over here. I'm not kidding. She walked the entire time. She went from wherever the hell she was, took like a whole minute to get over here. And it's like, are you kidding me? So, I don't know what was up with that. And for some reason, this chapter for me is glitched. Not just in the fact that Elena was giving me trouble, but you'll see. I'll actually show you right here. Sorry, I tripped him on the spit. We're kind of skipping ahead here, but don't worry about this. This is nothing in terms of guide stuff. I'm showing you what happens to me. So this is the second time in a completely different area. The first time I had this happen was something completely different that basically just almost destroyed my PS5. But no, this was a second scenario where I just, as you saw, I went into cover, grabbed the sniper, and just disappeared through the world. So it's so weird. I don't know what's wrong with my game, but it's just broken or something. Also, yeah, sorry. Choked on my own spit there. Yeah, so apologies. Anyway, sniper the first guy on the right, and then aim for the second guy on the left. But do that after you either grenade throw or kill the guys to the right that do spawn in. Watch out for the shotgunner to the left. Keep an eye on your left here for the most part, because enemies can easily flank to your left side. As you can see, there's this guy just standing right behind this pillar that is focused on Elena, thank goodness. But there's also another guy to the left of him just going into the center area, and that guy will probably try to sneak around. So that's kind of the key part about this part you really want to be careful of, is you want to watch that left side of you if you're hiding behind that cover. Then after that, I decided to just, instantly just run up here, check for a few guys just in case. Because I remember this place. Funny enough, I remember this place having a ton of enemies, but I don't think it does unless you have to make them spawn in. Because once I run over here, I start getting shot at, they do spawn. But funny enough, if you run inside this area, you'll just skip that entire fight. So, you could theoretically do that, but I recommend just taking out the first group of guys first. This place, not so bad. You got a Desert Eagle guy, a couple of them, one downstairs, one upstairs. Just waste the dragon off, throw a nade when these guys kind of group up together a little bit. Because most of the time, they'll usually group up around the center. So, that's what I do. There will be a guy to the right of us currently, and he is on the same platform as us. So just, once again, keep an eye out for him. And here I am just trying to at least find out where this guy's hiding at, because I can't seem to tell. But eventually do pick him off. And this gun, by the way, is really good. I love this. Compared to the Para 9, it's like I'd rather be using the 9mm. Personally. At least I think that's what was actually called. I believe so. Oh, either way. That should be almost everybody. I think. Also, it's funny, whenever I hear the word 9mm, I just immediately think just, wuss pistol. That's the immediate thought process I have, is like, it's just a pussy pistol type thing. But it's pretty damn strong in this game, though. Probably because of its rate of fire and the fact that it has so much ammo in it, that I think that's what it makes up for. And the fact that you can get like a whole 60 and you don't have to reload nearly as much, it's kind of nice. Shotgunner there, nothing, too big. You just deal with them as you do the rest. Alright, so for this puzzle, basically, it's pretty easy to figure out. I don't know why I struggled the first time. This is Matthew, I think, for the angel. And you're going to want to take this statue and move it north. So you see the compass down there, just move in the direction the game tells you to. So Matthew's north, John's east, Mark is west, Luke is south. And then just kind of look at both and figure it out that way. Pretty straightforward puzzle, to be fair. And nice little attention to detail. They left the bullet hole in there, too, which is cool. Yeah, figure out which statue is what name, and then figure out which statue faces in what direction. I think this is east. Yeah. And this one, I think, is south? Yes. And the other one is west. The other one is west. I just had to make sure, I just kept double-checking, making sure that I was right, because I was really worried that I might have accidentally fucked it up like I did the first time around. Because when I was first doing this, I somehow messed it up. Even though I understood the puzzle almost immediately right after, because it's really not that difficult to figure out. It's just that, because I'm so big-brained, of course. No, but it wasn't really that hard to figure out. It was just okay, what did I get wrong? Which direction did I go wrong? Am I that dumb? But no, it's fine. Anyway, turn these both down. You don't need to look in your book for this whatsoever, in your journal at all. Just turn them both down. It'll activate the cutscene, and there you go. And that'll be the end of the chapter. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time for some more Uncharted Drake's Fortune. As always, take care, everybody.